Hello, this is my explanation of our syllabus. So the reason our syllabus is so important is because it is the contract between you and me. It spells out my expectations, lists things, if something were to happen, this is what you do, kind of a guide for how you should behave and go through this course. So don't pay attention to this class time. Your syllabus on your Brightspace page, which is located in the course materials, has, the specific information to your class, but pretty much everything else is the same in regards to my information and everything else. So first, this is all of my information over here. This is my email. You should be checking your email pretty much every day because you never know what might change or what might happen, especially during this time. And then while my work phone would usually be available, I am working from home a lot. So my cell phone is a lot more reliable if you do have an emergency or anything. But usually email works just fine and I reply very quickly. And yeah, so there is a commitment to respond within 24 hours, 48 hours on non-school days. So if you don't receive a response from me within 48 hours, you should definitely reach out again. I might have just missed it. I might have read it and then got distracted. I might have, accidentally deleted it. Who knows? And then office hours is also a very important way to contact me. So if something is too complicated to do over email, you have several questions, you're very overwhelmed, you just want to chat, get to know each other better, you need personal help with something, really, my office hours are for you. They are for students. I don't just have them for fun. I really like it when students come to my office hours, so please come to them if you need it. So they are over Zoom. NICC is requiring that this semester, but they will be every Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then every Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m. If you're unable to make those times, I have lots of other times available. So you just need to email me in advance, a few days probably. I mean, even honestly, sometimes depending on my schedule, I can do it day up. So just reach out to me and we can definitely make an appointment. And you'll just put that ID in. I also have the link on the Brightspace page under office hours. All right, so the learning outcome for this class is communicate effectively. There is a course guide related to all of the unit objectives, and so that is how I built this class, is based off of those required objectives that every professor or instructor at NICC is required to do. So your required materials for this class is the most important one is the public speaking project, which is an online textbook. It is free and it is really good. So this is great because you don't have to pay and you can still get great information. And then because of our hybrid online format, depending on what you are, we will be recording speeches a lot. And so you'll need a reliable device to be able to record those presentations. Something that, can pick up your audio, can record your whole body, because we'll be doing various assessments in that way. And then I would also invest in some note cards. You'll need them for practices, sometimes your speeches, just really depends. Again, ignore this. Depends on your specific syllabus, has, what information that is. All right, so everybody does have the same breakdown for what our major assignments will be. And so up here at the top, you have our 5 speeches: the narrative speech, the demonstration speech, the informative speech, the persuasive speech, and the big talk. Every single one of these will have, much more detailed breakdown of what's required, how long it is, what needs to be in it, how to record it, all of that stuff will be in our Brightspace, and I'll put those, on the weeks that it is appropriate to have. And so then most of your speeches, except for the first one, will have an outline. All the outlines will have a draft requirement and a final requirement. Again, details on Brightspace. And then you'll also have a lot of peer evaluations. So because we are unable to watch our speeches live, I really value you all watching each other's speeches, because I think that that's one of the best ways to learn and get better, is kind of seeing, other learners, other people who are still, figuring it out and like finding really cool strategies and ways to public speak. And so I think that can be really great. So we'll be doing a lot of those, and then we'll also be doing some self-evaluations, 3 of them, kind of like a pre, mid, and final. I'll also give details for that. And then these are kind of, so you see the little squiggly, these are kind of undetermined. So these are still in development. It just really depends on how the weeks go, like how I feel, like what I feel you all need to work on, what I feel goes well, with the readings or whatever material you have for that week. But essentially, if you see anything that says discussion or see anything that says, activity or assignment on Brightspace, it goes into one of these categories. And so again, I explain up here how I do the grade scale. So it's not by points, it is a weighted grade scale. And so for these that only have one, this whole speech is going to be 5% of your total final grade. But when a category has multiple assignments in it, like this self-evaluation, the 3 self-evaluations are evenly spread among that 10% weight. So each one would be about, 3.3% of your whole final grade. And then depending on how many these end up, so I'm estimating about 8, because that would be about one every other week, and then one every other week for this one. So, some sort of assignment. But there might be more or less. So those will all just be evenly divided among that, 10%. And then the final grade, this is kind of how you can tell what your letter grade is with your percentage that you have. Brightspace will always update, your grade. So as soon as I grade something, it will update your overall final grade that you have at that point in the semester. And then I will always be giving feedback on pretty much everything. There might not be as much feedback on all of your discussion posts, but especially for the speeches and the outlines, there will be feedback on your graded items in Brightspace as well. All right, attendance. So this semester especially, and then also because there is a lot of online components to all of my classes, I'm not really taking a standard attendance grade. Usually you come in, they do roll call, professor does roll call, and then they mark you down, and that's part of your overall grade. But in the time of COVID and also with this online stuff, I decided that wasn't really, effective. I would always have to be adjusting that. So instead, those online discussions and activities, I am really considering, and everything else too, but especially those, I'm really kind of considering as your traditional attendance, because that can show me, are you consistently engaging, not just waiting to do the speeches, but are you consistently engaging and doing the readings of this class? And so that is really how I will be able to grade, your attendance and participation. And some other things that will show your full attention and participation is reading and following instruction carefully, which would, in theory, come out to not asking me as many questions on easy stuff, right? So I want you to ask me questions all the time, whenever you want. However, it's a little frustrating when, that question could easily have been found in the syllabus, or could have easily been found in one of my Brightspace announcements or a Brightspace document, sometimes I get it, we always miss something. But if you read instructions carefully, those will lower, I'm sure. And so then genuinely engaging in discussions, individual partner and group activities. I have outlines, for what I expect in discussion posts. We're not just doing, I agree, we're really genuinely trying to recreate that discussion in our online classroom. And also demonstrate a commitment to originality and improvement. It's in the age of Google and the age of public speaking being a required class. Of course, there's all kinds of canned is what I like to call it, but pre-made speeches essentially, or pre-made topics. But I really appreciate when you show a commitment to something that could only be given to you, something that's really creative, something I've never seen before. Granted, I've seen a lot of speeches, but a commitment to that is what I really value as well. I will be recording with the university official attendance. So you should still let me know though, if you won't physically be in class, or if you're not, if you have an alternate way of attending class virtually. So just so I can be aware of that, so that I can mark you down for the appropriate financial aid compensation. Academic dishonesty, plagiarism, cheating, don't do that. Make sure you read through every single point of this. Cheating and plagiarism are really serious. everybody I think has a story of a small time in which, they accidentally, unknowingly plagiarized, right? So I totally understand that. And so that is why my first consequence is receiving half credit for that assignment if you redo it and do a reflection on cheating and plagiarism. But it is a really serious offense. So if it happens again, I am very much less, if not at all, understanding. And so it's definitely very serious. Paraphrasing without citing, taking your peers' ideas without, all of that is a part of that. So, and then all of your assignments that get turned in go through a little checker to check for originality and citation stuff. So always it's your responsibility to be citing and, making sure that you do everything correctly. We'll talk a little bit about, how to do that as well. All right, late work. So I would say I'm pretty flexible on late work. I really think that, life happens all the time. School is really hard. And that, just because you're, a day or more late doesn't mean necessarily that you should miss that learning opportunity. However, not all late work is created the same, right? We are still in a class. There is a certain order for how you can do a speech. And so if you've already given your speech, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to turn in your outline for that speech, because the outline was supposed to help you with the speech, right? Not all late work is created the same. And then you should also never assume that I will accept the late work. You should always assume that you should ask me if you expect to be late on something. However, I also don't want you to freak out if something is late, because I usually will accept it within reason. And so what I have here right here is about 1 to 2 days late. So usually result in no penalty. Like I said, it's not a huge deal. As long as you're on track, that's really what I care about. And then 3 to 5 days will probably result in a small reduction, because I think at that point you are getting, significantly like a little bit behind at that point. And then over that, it just really depends, right? I know everybody's situation is different. Sometimes emergencies happen. We are in the time of COVID. If you get COVID, obviously you'll be out, for a very long time. So of course I'm willing to work with that. But in general, just with late work, always try to be on time, but I understand life happens. So please talk to me. Especially with speeches though, definitely don't assume that those can be made up late, because those are kind of just like critical, those huge parts of your grade, and then really important parts of your part in the semester. And then everything will be recorded in Zoom. And so please don't record by yourself unless we have discussed it. Again, Brightspace will be used heavily, so make sure you know how to use it. File requirement is very important. So Pages files and Google Doc links will not be accepted. They will not work in Brightspace. I will be unable to see your work. And so for me, it's basically like you turning in a blank work. And so that will be considered late at that point. So it's your responsibility to make sure that you put it into either a Microsoft Word document if you have it, or if you don't have it, convert it to a PDF. Lots of even Pages files, right? You can convert a Pages file to a PDF. So if you don't know how to do that, make sure you find out or reach out to me and I will let you know. All right, and then finally, the last major important thing is your behavior, both in person and in line, depending on what we're doing. I really expect us to challenge each other, to be engaged, to also be compassionate and ethical and critical in our engagements with each other. And then if you haven't already, please familiarize yourself with the general student conduct. And then the Learning Center is a great place to go if you are feeling overwhelmed or need extra help. I'm sure that they're having virtual service as well. They have writing help and other help with a variety of topics at the Learning Center. So reach out to me, reach out to them. They're a great resource. And then, yes, with your accommodations, make sure you do go to the disability services on whatever campus you are working with. And yeah, so those are all the major points of the assignment, of the syllabus. Make sure you check Brightspace for the quiz to follow up on this.